All right, can everybody hear me? Yes, I can hear myself. Wow. Thanks for coming to our session. My name is Hunter Dunbar. I'm joined by Tim Ziter. Tim's from Vermont. I'm from Massachusetts. We're very happy to be here in sunny California, and it became sunny today, which is great. Tim and I work for Cervelo. We're the technology consulting arm of A.T. Kearney, a management consulting firm based in Chicago. And we're going to talk about a bunch of stuff today, so we're going to try to move pretty quickly. We're going to talk about how AI has presented a new data source in Marketing Cloud journeys and how you can use insights gained from audio transcriptions to drive more personalized journeys. And we're going to talk about all the new tooling that's available in Marketing Cloud to make the life of the Marketing Cloud consultant easier and create better experiences. So let's talk about Marketing Cloud journeys. Typically we have CRM data. Everybody knows about this. We've got contacts, opportunities, campaigns, accounts, cases. You can pull in external data using the Marketing Cloud connector. We use data extensions to massage that data into data sets which are going to be usable in journeys. With journeys, we create river deltas of experiences for our customers. So decision trees take people down different paths. Time is a dimension which gets involved in this. So we wait 5 days. If they click on an email, we follow up in 2 days. And we create these rich experiences for people. With AI, one of the things that's going to be talked about a lot this week is how we can extract insights from unstructured data using LLMs. That's one of the things that we're going to start talking about in this presentation. That creates yet another data source which can give us more personalized decisions as people are going through their journeys. So with traditional journeys, we have demographic data in Salesforce. This is all the accounts, contacts that we talked about. The specific use case that we're going to talk about today is the relationship between a wealth advisor and a customer. So one of the most personal conversations you can have with someone is about your finances. And this creates a very rich but complicated unstructured data source. These conversations tend to take the same kind of path. You're talking about your financial goals, you're talking about the people in your life, you're talking about when you need your money. And so all of that data is going to emerge through interaction intelligence, which is how we analyze that unstructured data. In traditional Marketing Cloud journeys, it's a Marketing Cloud consultant manually going through and building out the journey. They're going to work with content teams to generate the email copy that you're going to send. They're going to use approved images to be shown in your emails. Well, with new tooling, we can automate a lot of this using generative AI. We can generate the images that are going to be used that they're more personalized for a specific use case. So we've got Victoria, who's closer to retirement age, and she might be much more interested in an image of retirement activities, playing golf. That's all you do in retirement, you play golf. Abigail, who's 37, might be more interested in rock climbing, something more active. Earlier in her career, she's got a different set of goals, and we can send different types of emails dynamically using some of the tooling that Tim's going to talk about today. All right, so why is audio transcription such an important emerging data source for us? Well, we've been doing this forever. We've been taking spoken stories and we've been writing them down on the walls of caves. We started using typewriters for a very long period of time. Once we had audio recording, we had teams of transcriptionists who would be recording all the conversations into a written format that's easily digestible. In the 70s and 80s, we had the word processor take everything digital. And then really in the past decade, error rates on transcription have gone way, way down. And so I don't need to tell you about this because you can see it happening right now on that monitor as it's really accurately writing down everything that I'm saying. I hope. You might be saying something completely different, but I can't see it, so we'll assume it is. How do we analyze this text? Some of the tools that Salesforce has provided in the NLP space are named entity recognition and sentiment analysis. Named entity recognition extracts the proper nouns from your block of text. So Mark Benioff is a person, CEO is a title, Salesforce is an org, Paris is a location. This gets a little bit more complicated when we get into more conversational data. So in our Wealth Advisor example, I might say, good to see you again, Alex. It's been a few years, so I'm pleased we can get caught up on where things stand today across your financial picture. Well, this is a real example that Tim and I were working on, and when we put that in, the NER tool spat out that good to see you again is a Whitesnake album, which is kind of good to know, but not really helpful if you're building a business application. Sentiment analysis at scale is a really helpful tool. So if you have 500,000 tweets and you want to get a temperature gauge for how our company is doing, sentiment analysis can give you a really good score. But on a micro level, it's not very good at handling vernacular. So the presentation was awful good and I learned a lot. Drops your positivity score quite a bit, even though the overall sentiment is roughly the same. Generative AI does a really good job of taking this unstructured data and extracting insights, which we can then put into a relational database format, which enables reporting and allows us to get insights about what our customers are actually talking to us about. We talked about the disadvantages and advantages of named entity recognition and sentiment analysis. Gen AI gives you a lot of accuracy and a lot of flexibility, but everybody's used ChatGPT. It just gives you back text. What do you do with that block of text? You started with a block of text, which was the transcription of your conversation with your customer. Well, how do you get that unstructured conversational data into a structured format that you can report on and then drive marketing journeys? Because ultimately those marketing journeys are going to rely on having tabular relational data, which they can put into data extensions to create journeys. And so we say that with transcription technology and AI combined together, we've created a new data source. And it can be used in all aspects of your CRM application. You guys have now sat through probably 20 sessions talking about this. But one of the most kind of target-rich environments for this use case is Marketing Cloud. So here is our architecture that we built. The way to do this with Salesforce products is to use Einstein Conversation Insights. That's a fit-for-purpose tool, and you can talk to your rep about enabling that SKU. You can also build this yourself, and so this is what Tim and I built. We've got conversational data getting logged to a custom object in Salesforce. Once we've got that call transcript, we're going to create something that we call an interaction summary. It's just a custom object that holds the transcript. We'll pass that transcript off to an API. And in that API, we're going to inject prompts. And been a lot of sessions talking about this, so I won't go into too many details on the prompt engineering side of this. But basically, we're going to talk about, in our Wealth Advisor example, what are the goals of the customer? What products did they discuss? What were some objections or concerns that they had? Many times people have macroeconomic concerns and objections to being invested in certain types of vehicles. And then what are the follow-up actions? Follow-up actions is really, really key because we can completely automate the process by which you're trying to remember what you talked about in a conversation and then knowing exactly what you need to do next. So we'll inject all that prompt engineering to tell the LLM exactly what we need back. LLMs can return data in JSON format, so we can get a JSON object back. Our API will relay that JSON object back to Salesforce, where we're going to parse the object into rows of data, which we'll then insert to our database as something that we call entities. And so what we land with is an interaction summary and all the different rows of data, records, which represent what was talked about on the call. Okay, so I'm going to kind of quickly move through the code portion of this. But we have a QR code at the end, which includes some detailed walkthroughs of like all the technical aspects of the solution. So we've got a trigger on that interaction summary. That's going to call an API. We will pass that call transcript to the API. The API is then going to take it to an LLM, get all of the entities and insights back. It'll relay it back to Salesforce. And we're going to parse that response into objects, which we'll then insert into our database as entities, which we can then report on and use in our Marketing Cloud journeys. So Tim is going to talk about the Marketing Cloud portion.
Thanks,
I'll stand over here.
So yeah, so how do we take these amazing insights and unstructured data and leverage them in Marketing Cloud? So we're going to cover 3 ways today. Number 1, creating advanced segmentation and journey paths. We're going to take that data, pull it in from in Content Builder from Salesforce CRM. We're going to transform that data using Automation Studio and queries. And then we're going to use different journey activities to leverage that data. So we have an example today. We're going to be going through a SQL query and code on that. Number 2 is one-to-one content personalized at scale. So like Hunter mentioned, we've got some AI tools in Marketing Cloud we're going to be talking about, the Einstein Copy Insights, the typeface content block, pulling that all together in a data extension-fed content management system and making that actionable using AMP scripts. So we've got a couple examples of that today as well. And then last but not least, those next best step sales activities so that sales can follow up with those activities that are going to resonate most with those opportunities and work well for them as a salesperson. So before we dive into those, let's take a look at the data that's coming in from Hunter's engine in Salesforce. So on the left here, we've got the Salesforce data. We've got these standard objects, the campaign members, the campaigns, the leads, the accounts. Then we've also got those custom objects in the center here that Hunter had created, the interaction summary, the entity details. All the fields here are making the connections between all those objects. And in the center, we're bringing that data into Marketing Cloud, where we're feeding that communication functionality, that basic needs like the subscriber key or the email address for the email. Those different data points is going to drive that personalization. And then for the last part, those data points are going to drive those custom activities that are going to be created, those custom objects, records in the Salesforce CRM environment. So let's take a look at this data that comes into Marketing Cloud and Content Builder. We've got 4 examples of these actual data. So like Hunter mentioned, we've got all these different categories and different types that we're pulling in. So here's an example at the top where we're looking to look for this time frame category that's going to determine intent. If we're listening for 0 to 30 days, that might show for Abigail, she might have a high intent. But for Victoria, she might be looking for 6+ months. So that's going to drive intent, that's going to drive the actual journey activities and the content itself. Another example is that next best product. Like Hunter mentioned, we're going to be listening for that product data, sorting through all of those products, that product category that's mentioned the most. Once we find that particular category, we're going to select that one product to recommend in our content and then for sales as well. Another example is that setting up understand that data that's going to determine the persona or the personality for each person and how that might drive the content. And then the last example is how we can determine what's going to be the next best step for sales to follow up with those leads. So let's take a look at how this is going to come together in Automation Studio and Marketing Cloud, looking at the SQL query. So in this our use case, we've got a company that might have a lead ranking program like a Sales Wings, where they've got at the top this predictive score, a hot, warm, or cold ranking. So what we want to do in the middle part of this query is we want to use those entity data to listen for those different characteristics. If they're expressing a 0 to 30 days showing intent, we might elevate that ranking to a hot rank. If they're showing more like 6+ months, we might lower that ranking. So once that's set there in the center, on the outer query, we're using a case statement to combine that predictive score with the LLM rank score to create this uber ranking that's enhanced. And this is how this could be manifested in the journey itself, where we've got 3 different paths based on that ranking. So we've got a hot path that might go directly to sales to create a task activity. We've got a warm path that might send out an email to get the intent if they're ready to engage. If that person engages, they may move back up to that hot path. And if they don't engage, they'll just move down to the cold path to be served up those communications over time. All right, let's talk about the second area, which is one-to-one content personalized at scale. Quickly talk about these cool new tools in Marketing Cloud, AI tools. Two of them are under the Einstein family, the Einstein Copy Insights, where you can create custom personalities based on the persona for your brand. Once those are set, you can create, it'll help you generate custom subject lines, body content, and not just one example. They'll give you 5 different examples, and the engine will learn and grow over time. That combined with the typeface content block, where using prompt engineering, you can create one-to-one images that are associated with your brand, pull that all together in a content management system and a data extension to drive that one-to-one content. So here's 2 examples of how we can use AmpScript to drive that personality. This first example is using that next best product. So with something as simple as a lead ID coming from Salesforce CRM, we can look up into that custom object, that interaction summaries object, to find that interaction summary ID. With that ID, that unlocks all of those entities. So I'm going to pause there for a second in AmpScript and go down here to the bottom with SQL. We've got this SQL query that's taking all of those categories, those product categories, and it's doing a count to find the top category for each interaction summary. With that data pulled back into this AmpScript, we're going to determine the top category, and then look for a flag that's going to determine the top product. So there you go, there's an example of how to create a next best product using that unstructured data in AmpScript and queries. And this last example is how we can use AmpScript to drive that personalized content and imagery in the emails themselves. So again, just as simple as a lead ID from Salesforce, and then we're going to be using a query. I don't have the example, but again, it's in the demo, to find that personality associated with that lead ID. With that obtained, you can use something like a random function to choose one of the various different versions of the content that's in your content management system, and then you set your subject line, your content, and your image on a one-to-one basis for each email. And this is how this could come together. So like Hunter said, this is that one email in that journey, the same email, completely different for these 2 interaction summaries. So here on the left, we've got Abigail. She's interaction summary 0026. She's at retirement age. She's showing intent. We've got Victoria 0027. She's more, younger. She's still considering maybe a little bit more lower intent. And you can see top to bottom, these emails are completely different. At the top, we've got that image that's generated by typeface, unique to both personalities. We've got the content generated by Einstein, the next best product that was generated by AmpScript and SQL, and even follow-up steps based on the intent. All right, one last thing, let's talk about the next best follow-up actions. So using queries, just like we've shown for the next best product, you can determine, pulling out all of those entities, what's going to be the best way for sales to follow up. And then just adding that field to your journey, you can use a decision split to send them down to create a custom task, or just update an opportunity, even create a case for service. And you're not only creating these records, you're personalizing these records with those keywords that are coming from that unstructured data. So when that salesperson follows up, they have all of that relevant personalized information at their fingertips. So hopefully that gives you a good overview of some opportunities on how to actionize that data within Marketing Cloud. And I know we've covered a lot, and like Hunter said in this resource slide, which is next, we've got, you can just scan this code, you can see all of these slides, and we've got an end-to-end demo that takes you from the Sales Cloud all the way through Marketing Cloud. I know we're at time. If we have any questions, we can talk to us after the session. But thank you for your time. Appreciate it, and we'll talk soon.